you, Elizabeth. 1 minute. Let's start again then. So my name is Michelle Styler. I'm the Chief of Paratransit Services here at the MBTA. Thank you for your interest in the ride and asking for additional information. I am joined here by Elizabeth Wiesner, who is the Director of Strategic Initiatives and Outreach. Wait, we gave her a long title.
Strategic Initiatives and Engagement.
And engagement. I was going to say outreach. All right. So I ask you to bear with me as I work my way through this. But we also have, and I don't know that he's on this meeting yet, but Chris Jurek, who is the Deputy Chief of Paratransit Services too. I again see this as an opportunity to share additional information about the ride because I found that there are a lot of people that really don't have a full understanding. It's certainly complicated and nuanced. So I'm going to start here with if we go to the next slide, talking a little bit about paratransit service. It's ADA mandated. It's public transportation for people with disabilities who can't use fixed route service due to their disability. We provide reservation-based door-to-door service to our customers. Hold on 1 second. Let me just modify that. Specific FTA requirements so that our service is comparable to fixed route. This includes shared ride service, operating hours, the service area, fares, and trip duration. If we go to the next slide. A little bit about the ride operation. I'm going to start with something that's not on this slide, but our team consists of 22 team members here. We oversee 10 major contracts that include the Mobility Center, TRAC, which is our operations center, and 2 dedicated service providers, 3 non-dedicated service providers, and our transportation management software contract. In FY25, our team provided 1.8 million trips to 36,000 customers. This averages between 3,000 and 5,000 trips per day. Our dedicated service providers operate 700 vehicles out of 5 garages. And we also offer ride flex trips that are provided by our non-dedicated service providers that are driver-owned vehicles. The image you see here on this screen is from our new software, and this is one of the new tracking tools that we have with the Spare software, which demonstrates green is on time, red is experiencing slight delays, and this is a tool our dispatchers use to monitor service and intervene when necessary. If we go to the next slide. So eligibility often comes up from members of the public and inquiries, and I really thought it was important here to share our eligibility process with you. So customers must apply for eligibility, and they're provided free transportation to an in-person interview at the Mobility Center. Trained professionals evaluate and assess the applicant's functional ability to utilize fixed route. Additional information here is captured, including their mobility equipment, service animals, whether a customer travels with a personal care attendant. The policy is consistent with FTA guidance and industry best practices, and is also used to ensure customer devices safely fit on our lift and our vehicles. At the same time, during eligibility and the recertification process, which is done every 3 years, we also ensure that a customer has a full understanding of the ride service. I mentioned before, it's complicated. So we like to take the time to make sure people understand the service. We'll advise customers of our suite of additional services, including trip planning, reduced fare application assistance, technology training, and travel training. And then I'd also like to share that this is relatively new, but we partnered with System-Wide Accessibility on the Mobility Center, creating a one-stop shop that is both eligibility and travel training. So it provides all accessibility-related services here at the Mobility Center. We go to the next slide. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about our software transition. We transitioned to a new software management contract, I would say, this summer. The software is responsible for making reservations, creating daily driver schedules, managing dispatch, and for provider and driver information regarding GPS, and also to manage customer information. Uh, I definitely want to be sure to share with you that our tag representatives were an our tag representative was included on the technical evaluation committee. And we also engaged a consultant to perform an accessibility audit of the software while we were launching. We also included customers in user acceptance testing and solicited feedback from our drivers and frontline employees and testers throughout the entire process. We messaged to our customers early and often, as far back as January and February at the beginning of the year for a launch that occurred on August 30th. Thanks, Elizabeth. Just additional information with respect to messaging that we pushed out mailers and flyers, emails, we put out seat drops, and this is all to ensure that customers knew that this transition was coming. So with respect to feedback, so with this software transition, there are many positives here. Some of the features that impact customers and our operation include real-time optimization of vehicles to improve efficiency. Well, what that means is the older software, we would take reservations in the evening before the schedules would be built for the next day. And where that left us was addressing challenges same day, including late cancellations, customers that didn't show up, potential driver call outs. And we had to patch a lot together throughout the day. This real-time optimization is a lot like what you see with Uber and Lyft, is that the system determines how best to put those trips together. And as we receive cancellations, about 30% of trips during the day are canceled. It recreates those schedules more efficiently. So I talk about real-time optimization. There are enhanced tools for dispatch to monitor service. You saw a screenshot earlier about what those vehicles look like, and that's a visual tool. There are also additional features for reporting that they can use to monitor service. Expanded data access and analytics. We have a lot more access to real-time data. Again, equipping us with tools where we can address issues real time and or even be proactive with projections about throughout the launch. We were monitoring service and reaching out to customers as they experienced a challenge. Let's see. So want to share here that the feedback has been largely positive. And an additional feature that customers see is there's an in-app tool. Again, similar to what you would see for Uber and Lyft with a thumbs up or thumbs down for their experience that we haven't had before. And we're using that to track performance as well. When you look here at the display to the right, when I say largely positive, we combine the extremely satisfied with somewhat satisfied to share that information. And we are doing feedback with those that are not satisfied. And one of the things that we have done is based upon feedback, we've set up some training sessions for the mobile app for our customers. Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. So I'm going to share some of our performance metrics here. If you look here, you can see that we've consistently exceeded our 90% on-time performance goal. The go live was on August 30th, and I think we saw a slight dip the first 1 or 2 days and then a quick recovery. But we are now seeing 96 to 97% on-time performance. And we are experiencing the same through October. If you go to the next slide. We refer to it as an average speed of answer, but you may be more familiar with the term hold times. We track this as well, and we are consistently under our 2-minute goal. For the most part, we're we're measuring our ASA in seconds. We saw an increase in the month of September, and this was twofold. We saw an increase in call volume and an increase in call hold time. But as customers and employees got more accustomed to the software, we're seeing that drop off, and October is now tracking at 0.40 minutes, which is again in the seconds measurement, which we're pretty happy to share with you. Go to the next slide. We also monitor customer feedback, and that consists of both complaints and commendations. We are regularly seeing somewhere between 2 and 3 complaints per 1,000 trips. We saw a slight increase in September, and again, this is largely due to an unfamiliarity with the process and the new software, but we expect to see that level off as well. So I want to share with you, I think it's really important. I mentioned RTAG earlier. There's an RTAG general group, but there's an RTAG subcommittee that's dedicated specifically to paratransit. And we meet with them monthly, and we may push out information to them prior to the meeting for them to review, to have some productive discussions. But we review performance. We discuss all major initiatives and policy updates. We include them on our procurements. Right now, we have 2 procurements underway, which is the non-dedicated service provider procurement, which is also used to provide those Ride Flex trips that you may have heard about, and TRAC, which is our operations center. And want to share that their feedback is used to shape our work. And then additionally, we do an awful lot to really understand customer experience, include our customers, it allow a feedback loop for our customers and include them and their opinions in decisions that we're making. Most recently, I think that we administered a survey regarding feedback on the software tools that are available. And we are looking to introduce additional tools to engage more with customers. And what we are considering is how to implement we're thinking twice a year, customer forums specific to ride customers to allow them to share their feedback with us and for us to respond to their questions and concerns. I think if we go to the next slide. I thought this would be a good time to share with you that we recently revised the baggage assistance policy. And to provide a little bit of background about what we have done. So we messaged again to our customers, shared this information with RTAG members, sought their feedback. What we did was we issued a clarification of our existing rules, which is how much baggage a customer may bring on board. And that really is that they need to maintain the baggage and packages in their personal space while traveling, that they're able to travel with a shopping cart, but it simply must be emptied and collapsed and their packages stored. And this is not a change at all. This is just reinforcement of existing policy. But we did make a change in the policy that the drivers are no longer permitted to carry bags for customers from the door to the vehicle. And I wanted to share with you why that decision was made. Out of safety concerns, we had an increase in reports of customer injuries and driver injuries. And that is because our policy is that a driver would assist a customer with one arm from the door to the vehicle. And while trying to manage these packages and baggage, we found that they weren't able to safely assist a customer. A customer may lose their balance and a driver wasn't able to assist them. And we also found that drivers were getting injured trying to assist customers that were increasingly trying to travel with larger and larger packages, increased volume. And then the other piece is also to avoid intruding on other customers' space on board the vehicle and to avoid a tripping hazard on board the vehicle. And then we also experienced a challenge with just inconsistent enforcement. It wasn't simply one bag, it was two, it was three, it was large bags of laundry, it was large screen TVs, it was cases of water. And what that did was it led to um, conflict between the driver and the customer, where a supervisor and the safety team would be called out to evaluate the situation. And that created a cascading effect to everybody down the road that was expecting service. So it was really driven largely by safety and a great difficulty enforcing the policy and some customer feedback about those challenges. Some of the feedback we got from customers was, we're happy to see that. It was taking a long time to board customers with overloaded carts that weren't safely or couldn't be safely secured. So I think I rushed through a lot of that. But I do have Elizabeth, who has done a lot of the policy and communications here. And I also have Chris, who led the software mobilization, implementation, and launch. And I thought that we have enough people here that could answer any questions you may have about the ride, our service, our efforts to collaborate with customers and software. And I already see a hand raised.
Let me just pause real quick and say thank you so much for that presentation. I just want to acknowledge a few folks who joined, including Mayor Jen from Melrose, who's the co-chair of this committee, along with Andy Reeker from the city of Cambridge. And I think there were a few other folks who joined. So if you could please all just make sure to put your names into the chat. So with that said, Michelle, please feel free to call on people and
Okay.
go from there.
Okay, so the first person I see with a hand raised is David.
Yes.
David
yes.
Kosis?
Right. David Kosis from Newton. Michelle, thank you so much for this presentation. It's been a long time since I've thought about paratransit operations really at all. So I'm just wondering, with the new software, does it mean that the drivers don't get their daily schedules anymore? It seems like it's more now real-time scheduling, you were saying. So I'm kind of envisioning that as they're going through their day, they're getting more, here's your next pickup, here's your next drop off, more real time, maybe even allowing more flexibility for the passengers to request a trip more last minute. I'm not sure, but I can certainly see the efficiency, right? I'm just also kind of wondering if there's any downsides at all with the new software. Thank you.
Thank you. So great question. What I will share with you is there was nothing more important to me than hearing from frontline staff that would be impacted and our customers. So we engaged, I said, early and often with customers, but with drivers as well. And some of what we did was testing of the software. I think we started out with 10 vehicles and 10 drivers, then we went to 20, then we went to 50. That was testing the software and providing feedback. And we did make some adjustments based on what the drivers shared with us. Right now, the drivers actually have the same shift. They're not working any more, any less hours. except that they don't have insight into what their entire day looks like. But they are receiving their breaks and there's sufficient time, and we haven't seen many complaints. Actually, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from drivers because they also feel that they're operating more efficiently. And then you said customers. Is there room to introduce, were you saying same day or demand service?
Yeah, I was wondering, I don't even know how it was before. I assume that they had to call at least a day or two in advance, unless it's a standing order or something. But now with the more real time, do they have the ability to request a trip, closer to when they want to take it?
Okay, so I can answer that question. I'm trying to stay on point because I have a couple of ideas swirling around in my head about how to respond. But first off is we're operating more efficiently and we're really waiting for the dust to clear. We're always looking for opportunities to improve the service we provide. And I want everybody here to know that we are taking a very close look at the data. We have more access to data than we've ever had before. We have more dashboards to evaluate the experience that an individual customer has, and we're eager to take a look at that. What does that mean for the future? If there are opportunities to improve that service and offer additional options, we are certainly eager to explore that. But separately, I would also just share that you hear me talk a little bit about RideFlex. And I know that we have a pretty good sized audience here and everyone may not be familiar with RideFlex. But RideFlex, customers can sign up for RideFlex. They get a limited number of subsidized trips that will allow for them to book same day with Uber and Lyft. So we do think that we are providing some limited demand service to customers, but always looking for opportunities to improve the service and the options to our customers. The data is still new, but we're looking at it, certainly. I see, and somebody call me out if I'm missing anybody, but I do see Andy has his hand raised.
Yeah, apologies for arriving a little bit later on into your presentation, so you may have covered this. But I did connect with our Commission on Persons with Disabilities yesterday just to talk about this topic. And a couple frequent questions have come up, I think, with the recent transitions that you were talking about, both the policy on parcels, bags, kind of packages along with somebody, a rider, and then also a little bit about just kind of some clarifications about the kind of pickup times of the new system. So kind of the first question is, I think folks understand the policy. Maybe there was a little bit of concern that some of the policy changes for the parcels and bags and other like accoutrements that come with people was a little bit hidden. So I think you kind of started to respond to that. Hopefully there's opportunities for follow-up. I think the remaining concern has been for folks whose disability means that they are actually unable to carry items themselves. Or have some, issues with strength or kind of the issues with basically kind of withstanding doing that kind of effort to bring items with them. It's been very unclear about how this policy affects them, whereas in the past they may have been able to get some assistance from maybe the curbside to into the vehicle for those kind of things. That was the first question of how this policy affects those people. And then second, more so on just kind of the scheduling. There's kind of like a brief, like 30-minute period in which people can be picked up. I think, one of the questions has been sometimes there's like maybe a phone call that occurs about maybe an hour before that pickup window, just to confirm. If that phone call comes in earlier than an hour and the message is that you have an hour to be ready for your first pickup, if it comes like 15 minutes, like an hour and 15 minutes before, if the vehicle arrives 15 minutes before that, kind of designated pickup time, does the kind of countdown window start at that time of arrival or at the time of scheduled arrival is kind of the question that people have had, because it's been handled a little bit differently in the past. So those were the two kind of relatively frequent questions that the commission folks had as kind of things been going on with the ride. So any clarity would be helpful.
Okay, so with respect to the baggage policy, moving from the door to the vehicle is when a customer is asked to transport their own bags. But I will share that customers can travel, a PCA can travel with a customer for free. That can assist them with packages, and any customer can use the lift to board. So if there are mobility challenges and that they're not using a wheeled mobility device, they can still board using the lift. So that would also help them board. So then the next piece, do I have Chris? Chris?
I'm here. Yep.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Yes, to the question about the sort of notifications and trip arrivals and things like that. So when we removed despair as part of this, we did increase notifications that we send out, both in terms of the types of notifications and the way customers receive them. Previously, we basically just did all of our sort of trip notifications by call, with a small amount that were opted into a separate texting program. With the new software, we've allowed every customer to like fully customize, and they can opt into or out of entirely 4 different types of notifications. And they can also decide to get them by phone call, by text, or by email, or all 3 if they really want that many notifications. But now we give we call it the booking confirmation call, or notification, sorry. So within 30 minutes of you booking a trip or a multiple number of trips, you will get a notification sort of reciting all the details of those trips you booked, so you have them for your record and you can confirm the details of that. Then next is the night before, which was similar to what we were doing before. The night before the day of your trips, we will also give you a notification just reminding you of all the trips you have scheduled for the coming day. And then we send out the one you had referenced, which is we call the sort of 60-minute before notification, which again is just a reminder. It happens, roughly 60 minutes. So due to the technology and things like that, it takes a little bit of a buffer, but it's just like your vehicle will be arriving in approximately 60 minutes. And then finally, we do what we call the arrival notification call that goes out, it's roughly between 8 and 10 minutes before your vehicle arrives. You will then get a notification, hey, your vehicle is, very close. It's on the way to you. Be ready for the vehicle to arrive imminently. So, we think we've, again, coupled with a number of those notification types and the ability for customers to actually customize and receive them however they want, we think this is a big improvement for customers overall. Clearly, it's as with any transition, getting customers to understand the changes overall, which we've communicated a lot, but also it's on the customer too to understand and know that they can opt in and out and change their preferences. And so we've been working to make sure we're publicizing that part, because it was clear early on, not all customers really understood that, have this power, but you have to actually do something, whether it's using the self-service options or calling track to make those changes. So I think we've been seeing sort of good uptake and good response there overall.
Yeah, I think with maybe the question that people have is a little bit more specific, and it's caused by maybe the confusion of all of a sudden receiving all these new notifications. I guess the very specific question is, so say the scheduled window is something like 8:10 in the morning to 8:40 in the morning. You get those phone calls, you're ready to go, you're out there, early, but if the vehicle arrives early, even before that window, so instead of 8:10, it arrives at 8:05. I believe the ride has a policy of essentially, if you don't arrive at the vehicle ready to go within 5 minutes, you forfeit the ride. So the question is really, if it's before that originally scheduled window, with all these new notifications, it's kind of confusing. Like, I got a phone call, 8 to 10 minutes before. Does that mean I'm actually on notice now? That I need to be ready to be at the curb immediately? People are very needing some clarification on, when does that countdown start? Because for many, it is a big issue for understanding how the service works.
Fair enough. Yes. So when you book that trip and you get your pickup window, that 30-minute window, that window is essentially, for all intents and purposes, always your window. And so everything will be measured against that. And so our drivers are instructed, and as our dispatchers, if a vehicle arrives early, they need to wait until the start of that window, and then the 5-minute counter will begin at that point. So, and we try to make sure customers are aware too, they are under no obligation to board that vehicle early. So if the driver is, for whatever reason, early traffic was better and you see the vehicle, that you do not need to board that until the start of your window.
Yeah, I think with all the new notifications, this has been a little confusing, but that's helpful clarification. I'll make sure this gets back to folks.
Yeah, and appreciate the feedback too. And this is, again, we'll take a look too, and making sure that our communication language, in the notifications is clear on that too. Certainly.
I was going to say, thank you, Chris, and definitely appreciate the feedback. And if customers are experiencing any concerns or any issues, please encourage them to submit something through the customer support, because we are taking a look at everything that comes in, and we are preparing communications based upon the feedback that we see, with targeted communications. And I think that we did that additional training for customers based on what we were seeing. And separately, it may be worth sharing also that the mobile app allows you to track your vehicle as well, your vehicle's progress. Gary, are you raising your hand for us?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you see it?
I
Yes.
thought you were blocking a glare.
Yeah, that's right. This is the sun, I'm Gary Hale. I'm the chair of the Melrose Commission on Disability. And this question is a little off topic from what your presentation has been. If a rider is traveling into another transportation authority region, is it still the ride policy to bring the person to the border of the MBTA region and wait for a transfer?
That's how transfers are handled. Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
Nothing has changed.
Okay. End of conversation. But I would just wonder if the T would consider an option to that. There's a lot of inefficiency in that process. Frankly, I doubt that a lot of people take advantage of the process because it's very cumbersome for everybody. It would be a lot better if there were a point-to-point transfer ride, particularly into contiguous authorities. And I realize that would have to be an agreement with the bordering authorities. But of course, you to have a transfer process, you have to have 2 vehicles committed to 1 rider. You have vehicles sitting out of use until a transfer vehicle arrives, and it's obviously not the best service for the rider going from point to point. It would be wonderful if the authorities could discuss the possibility of at least piloting a process where a rider could get from point to point without having to transfer vehicles. And of course, it should go both ways. And I would also suggest that I realize this is a financial issue, at least partly. But I really think that riders, considering what their alternative is to try to make that same trip, that they would be willing to pay an additional fee for a ride into out of the region into another authority's region. So that would be my thought, my suggestion, and I gather that it's not on the table at this point, but if you could bring it forward to some point of discussion somewhere, I think it would be wonderful. And I think riders that need to travel from Boston to Salem or Andover or something like that would really appreciate the extended collaboration between the authorities.
Thank you, Gary. I appreciate the suggestion and your advocacy on behalf of our customers. We recognize that the transfers are challenging, but separately, from an agency perspective, we are required by the FTA to provide service to those core customers that fall within our service area. So first and foremost, we want to make sure that we're able to provide that service to our core customers, and we have to be mindful of, I certainly think we can improve our relationships with the RTAs, and I'm certainly willing to engage in discussion, but we have to be mindful of scope creep. And what I will share is there are so many people that live just outside the area, and can't you make this one exception? And we have to be mindful of how to balance the needs of our customer base with the service that we're required to provide. And sometimes that's challenging, but certainly willing to engage in additional discussions, and appreciate your recommendation.
I'm certain this isn't the first time you've heard the issue or the suggestion, so.
No, I understand. I understand that there are challenges with people traveling outside of the service area. I certainly understand that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I see 2 more hands. I'm not sure. Oh, 3 more. I'm not sure who went first. I'm just going to go left to right. And apologies if somebody's been waiting longer, but I see Susan on my screen has her hand raised.
Yay, I win. Okay, thanks. So a thank you and 2 questions. I think you guys have a really difficult job. Door to door and curb to curb transportation is incredibly challenging and resource intensive, takes a lot of patience as well, and dealing with lots of traffic and so on. So thank you for everything you're doing. I think the upgrades to the software sound like well, it looks like they're making a difference. They sounded good, and I'm excited because my town has brought in has a mobility center coming in to do a training next month, which I'm looking forward to. So I just want to thank you for all of that and for reaching out to our tag and others. So my first question is, I have met a number of people that are eligible for the ride, they use the ride, but they are also able to use public transportation and do. And my question with that is, do you ever, like for people that can do both, if they have to go somewhere where maybe they could take transit, but like getting to the transit is where the difficulty would be, do you ever do like a combo trip where you just like, you're like that first mile, last mile transporter to the transit? So that's my first question. I'll let you answer that first.
Okay, so here's probably where I talked about Elizabeth's here, but conditional eligibility. We recognize that some people can take public transit some of the time, but we want to allow for them to use paratransit when they need to. And some of the challenges might not necessarily be their disability, but that they don't have a path of travel to access fixed route. So there is something called conditional eligibility. And Elizabeth, would you like to speak to eligibility a bit more?
Sure. Yeah. So yes, we have a lot of customers, I don't know, I think it was like 25% last time we checked, but who are able to use both the ride. They're eligible for the ride. They've been determined eligible for the ride through our in-person eligibility process. And also we know that they do take the fixed route some of the time. And we encourage people to mix and match these services as they need to. We currently do not have a first mile, last mile option, but it has long been on our list of things to consider, especially in a future in which we do more enforcement of the conditional eligibility. So that is not, again, not something we have now, but something that we are thinking about actively, especially with this software transition kind of behind us, mostly. We should have some more time to consider some of those bigger projects in the coming years.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And that's really what was important to me to share with everybody here, is that I view the new software launch as just the first step. We're not sitting back and we haven't decided we're done. I think that this opens more opportunities to us to explore how to improve the service.
So then I'll dive into my second question then, kind of things to potentially explore. I'm curious if you'd be open to this or if anyone is talking about this. So what I see where I sit in the world is that there is a lot of demand responsive transportation in the Commonwealth, from the ADA paratransit from the transit authorities, the Health and Human Services transportation, all the councils on aging usually have something. Sometimes there's even very specific medical transportation and more. I sometimes think there has to be a better way to coordinate this. You know, if you happen to be eligible for the ride, in a way, you've got this one-stop shop for your transportation needs for whatever you need, whether it's groceries, medical, whatever. But for other people that kind of fall through the cracks, they sometimes have to depend on numerous different providers, and it can be so stressful and chaotic. Meantime, entities, I'll just say municipalities or COAs, if they want to fill some of those gaps, they're going after state grants and they're trying to fill some little niche, which can't go very far. And I just think we could do more and better serve people if we could all work together. And I know there's a model, Access Pittsburgh. I'm not sure it's the best, but it's the one I've been enthralled with. Where their services, it takes in funding to do the ADA paratransit rides, but also like elder rides, what we would call here like COA rides, and then some others. Is that something you could see exploring?
Absolutely. I didn't give you my background, but I spent 35 years at New Jersey Transit and left New Jersey leading paratransit in New Jersey. And we had the same conversations. There's opportunity to work collaboratively and coordinate on services, but it's more challenging than you would think because everybody has a different perspective and different needs. So you really need to have folks willingly coming to the table to listen and to plan and to coordinate, but it's certainly challenging. And then separately, from my perspective and doing our part, we have built out, our team is lean. I shared with you, I think right now we have 22 people that oversees an enormous budget. I think it was 1.8 million trips. We're doing a lot. It's a challenging service to provide. We're working on outreach events. We've added a senior customer liaison, an issues resolution manager, and we have communications, but we definitely could do better on outreach. And we've planned outreach events with the Mobility Center just to at least ensure that customers that are eligible for the ride can enroll or apply. So I think it's important that we get the message out too about what services are out there, and that's some of what the Mobility Center does. But I think we could do better. Thank you. I see Leonard.
Right, thank you. Two quick questions. How are things going at the hospitals? I work at MGH, and sometimes I take a break in an area where I hear what's going on with the patients that they're trying to help get rides. So I'd hope that this is making things easier for them. But have you heard from them?
Elizabeth had a relationship with MGH, Elizabeth.
Yes.
I think that we've done some good work with MGH.
Yeah, I think the hospitals and medical providers have been a kind of tough nut for us to crack because they're pretty diffuse organizations. We've connected with MGH, among others, on various things like where we can pull up vehicles, certain processes that require medical providers to be involved. And I think we've had really productive conversations. We've gotten to better places because of that. And also we continue to find that it is difficult to reach out to kind of like a broader group of, even within MGH or MGB, we were trying to get one particular message across to all providers who might be interested in having patients use the ride. And that was quite difficult. So we're continuing to work with the Mobility Center in particular, who has their own outreach program to kind of think through how we can better do that and how we can get maybe like a consortium or listserv or something of any medical provider or institution that has an interest in how their patients use the service.
Okay, well, let me know with MGH, I might be able to help. I might know someone that you can reach out to. My second question,
Great.
involves something. It's not so futuristic. I mean, I used to ask this question and people were like, wow, why are you thinking about that? But autonomous, I think we see it coming. And to the extent you think it's far away, that may be good because it gives us a chance to establish some policies. And because I was hoping that we would, establish policies that would decrease the use of autonomous as SOVs but still with paratransit, that involves its own challenges So are you thinking about that? I mean, if not, I encourage you to think about that. That's it. Thank you.
Yes, so we are thinking about it, but I'd start with if we took a step back, we've just completed. We're a public agency, so everything moves a little bit slowly. We did just complete an EV study, and we're looking at piloting EVs, but at the same time, we're also exploring autonomous vehicles as a potential solution. And we have partnered with a representative from our IT team that's beginning to look at that. And it's certainly interesting, it's intriguing, and I don't think it has to be one initiative at a time. I think we can look at many, and we are looking at autonomous vehicles. There is, yeah, I was going to say there's a specific use for them, but certainly willing to connect with our peers. We had an APTA conference here in September, and there were presentations on autonomous vehicles, and we are interested in learning more. Thank you. Okay, so I know Brian has been waiting a long time. Leonard, did I answer all your questions?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Brian.
Well, Michelle, thank you. I'm but a lowly staffer, so I would be honored to defer to Mr. Long from Boston.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the presentation, and thank you, Brian, for passing the mic. I'm Sarah Leung. I'm from the City of Boston's Disabilities Commission, and I had a quick question about whether or not you had any data on the ridership changes, if there's any changes during subway diversions, subway surges, whether or not you see an increase, a decrease, no change, if that's being looked at.
Sarah, that's a really good question. I can share with you that we track and trend our ridership, and overall year over year, we're seeing an increase. But we have not specifically tracked as compared to fixed route and the surges that we're having. But I appreciate the question. And would like to think that with the access to the data we now have, that's something we're looking at. We are committed to really diving deep. Chris and I just had an interesting conversation over coffee this morning about how we can leverage our access to the data to inform us moving forward about some decisions and how we can improve the service. But we're not there yet. We're close, Sarah.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. And if you consider tracking maybe that correlation with subway surges in the future, and hopefully maybe share that data with the cities so we can help better plan some of the diversion work that's happening in all our municipalities. Thank you so much.
Sarah, that was a great question, and we can definitely take a look at that. Okay. So now I think we may be back to Brian.
Okay, thank you, Michelle, and thank you to Elizabeth and everyone, Chris as well. Thanks for coming today. Question stroke comment, I guess. Just wanted, the advisory board for many years has been very worried about the financial health of the organization, and I know we're in a random place where the T hasn't been in 25 years, where it actually doesn't have a life or death budgetary deficit facing it, and it's amazing. This is the first time in 25 years, I think. Nevertheless, just cracking some numbers here, it looks like, and my math could be off, and this is what I'd like your help with. It looks like the cost per trip for paratransit at the T is about $103 per trip. That's compared to a system-wide average of about $6.45 per trip. And again, I understand we have to do it. I understand it's FTA mandated. I understand. I get it. Trust me. What can we do to reduce these costs, though? I think the software is a great step. I think the call center, the stuff that you're doing is a great step. I think the eligibility stuff you're doing is a great step. I do fear, however, that the costs of paratransit, if they continue to rise at the rates they have risen over the last 10 years, will eventually present another existential crisis for the T. And so whether we do something like Susan and Gary were talking about with more regionalization, or something that we can do internally and help you do to lower your costs per trip, or lower something, I just wanted to encourage you to do that, because really concerned about the expense of providing retail versus wholesale service. And I understand, again, we have to do it, and we should do it, and we should do it very well, and you do. It just, again, wanted to just mention my concern there as someone who pays close attention to the numbers, and just sort of ask if there's anything you think we can do in any ways that cities and towns can be helpful. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian. Absolutely. It is the most expensive mode of transportation. We also keep the fares very low. They're lower than they need to be, and that's in recognition of our customer base and the needs that they have. So we will not be seeing revenue that offsets the cost of transportation. The nature of the service, and you acknowledge that, the nature of that service, the personalization of that service is what makes it very expensive. What can we do to offset those costs moving forward? Perhaps there's an opportunity with technology, but I also think that the more accessible fixed route service is, the less dependent on paratransit. So I think that we can invest in ensuring that existing infrastructure is made accessible. There will always be a core customer base that will need paratransit service, but if we can reduce the dependence on that, perhaps introduce technology and software solutions that allow us to operate more efficiently, that maybe that lands us in a position where there are less people reliant and dependent on paratransit. And perhaps that means that we are able to improve the service and offer other solutions, improved mobility options. But that's my perspective, but I would certainly open the floor to Elizabeth or Chris if you'd like to share.
Sure. I think, yeah, I agree with everything that's been said. That is the nature of paratransit service. And we are constantly being torn between needing to watch our budget and being asked to do more and for more people all the time. And so we constantly have to straddle that line. We have some people with an innovation team at this on our team that has their eye on that. And so we've done things like create the Ride Flex program, which is meant to do both of those things. It is meant to give more options, and also the cost of Uber and Lyft trips is much cheaper than paratransit. So if we can replace some of people's paratransit use with Uber and Lyft trips, we're able to save a little there. We'll keep an eye on autonomous vehicles and electric vehicles and all of these things coming forward. And I'm very mindful of the fact that, again, we're being asked to expand our service area, to do more things for more people, to have a more intensive service. And so, I think it's just going to continue to be a tension point.
Elizabeth, you made a great point about the expansion of service. We talked a little bit earlier about what can we do to avoid those transfer trips. Perhaps it is supporting the RTAs that provide that service rather than shifting those trips and those customers to paratransit, because we often hear from other towns, other communities, other counties, other people just outside the service area. And maybe it's a matter of building up options, whether it's shuttles, additional service, or connecting people with alternate options that would help us keep those costs down. Thank you, Elizabeth.
And
So I just want to,
if you don't, okay, just to add one sense, Brian, I've been here since 2018, so as you, at least even in those 7 years, seen a whole different slew of approaches and situations for our finances. And, I think it's worth just remembering too, through the pandemic, what that did to everyone in terms of transportation operations and the labor market, and, what we had to go through. And we did increase our costs by increasing the wages that we pay to our drivers and our call center staffers. And, you know, that accrued immediate benefits to us because clearly those wages for a long time had been under market, and we have seen performance almost immediately rebounded, improved, and now it still exceeds, you know, our targets sort of across the board. But one of the things that we are really looking for with our new software system is the fact that, you know, in the last 20 years, there have been a lot of developments in technology and scheduling and algorithms and computing power. And so we are expecting this, that the software is, and we've seen already early stages that it does a much better job and is more efficient at scheduling trips that can have a little bit of a customer impact because it now means more customers are sharing rides than have in the past. And so, you know, there's a little bit of a tension there, but we do expect going forward, we're going to be able to do a better job of fitting our what we call our service hours. So the number of hours we have on the road in terms of drivers and vehicles, and making sure we're actually making the best use of those, maximizing the efficiency, which, you know, when you figure the number one cost factor for us, right, is those labor hours. And so when we were able to better fit our demand that way and make use of our NDSP partners for shifting trips in our peak periods, we do expect that will help some with the costs.
Thank you,
I just want
Chris.
to acknowledge that we're almost at time. We have a couple quick administrative items to get through for the Rapid Transit Committee. So just echoing what Susan said in the chat, would you guys mind putting your emails into the chat? And if folks have follow-up questions, maybe they could email you directly. Would that be okay?
That's fine.
Awesome.
I'm sorry I didn't get to you. It looked like Alan had his hand raised. But just to close out, I just want to share with you, we have a small team that is really committed to the service we provide and improving the service to our customers. And I thought it was important to impart that. We're doing our best to engage with customers, to gather that feedback, to close that feedback loop, and to improve that service. And I appreciate the time that you allowed us to share with you the good we're doing. And we're working on, again, messaging that out to our customers, because sometimes the customers feel frustrated that somebody's not listening. We're doing the best we can with the limited resources we have, but we are getting better. And we have more tools available to us and are always willing to have the conversations about how we can improve. So thank you for your time.
Yeah, and we very much appreciate your time today. Thank you for the great presentation, for answering our questions. I know we could go on for quite some more time talking about this because it's a really important issue for all of us. So thanks, guys. So one item I missed at the beginning is a very minor administrative one, which is approval of our meeting minutes from the last Advisory Board Rapid Transit Committee meeting. Could I get a motion for that?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Awesome. Thank you, Frank. Can I get a second?
Second.
Great. All advisory board members, please say aye or put your thumb up, and that'll be indication that you approve it.
Aye.
Aye. Great. All opposed? Great. Seeing none. Perfect. And just to acknowledge that we have another meeting on November 13th, and then we'll be doing a combined meeting with the Passenger Rail Committee on December 17th. So looking forward to seeing you all there as well. And Chris, Michelle, Elizabeth, thank you guys so much again for your time today. Their emails are in the chat, and you know, maybe we could follow up with other committee members if they have questions. So thank you.
Thank you again.
Thanks,
All
Matt.
right.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to adjourn? Susan.
Yeah, I motion to adjourn.
Go ahead.
I'll second.
Awesome. Any objections? Fantastic. Thank you again, everyone, for your time today.